Hello and welcome to Mike's Garage. In our last video, we installed the motor in this shovelhead frame here, and the top end was off. Since then, I've installed the cylinders. Sorry I didn't share that with everybody. But today we're going to put the heads on. So let's start by looking things over real quick. Notice everything is clean as can be, and the pistons are in a down position so that when we set the heads on, we don't scratch the tops of the pistons because the pistons do protrude above the cylinders. So with the pistons down, next thing to remember is on an 80-inch shovelhead, the head bolts have to be on the cylinders before the cylinder base nuts are installed. Just the one on the right rear corner, right here, and the one on the right front corner up here. Otherwise, you can't get those bolts in there. Now, we're using some really nice bolts. These are 12-point head bolts. And the reason for those is normally because they're a little smaller than the hex heads, and they allow more clearance for oversized cylinders. I like to use them just because they're easier to use. They're easier to get a wrench on, easier to torque. Nice bolts. Okay, let's put the head gaskets on. These are some very modern multi-layered steel head gaskets. And we'll put the rear one on and then install the rear cylinder head. Being very careful to slide, just barely kiss the top of the cylinder so that the head gaskets stay in place as we put the cylinder head in place. Okay, now start threading the bolts in. Notice that everything is super clean. Super clean is the answer. All of the bolts are clean, the cylinders are clean, the cylinder heads are clean, everything is clean. Now we're just going to get the head bolts in position. We're not going to tighten them up yet because the cylinders, the holes in the cylinders for the cylinder head bolts are oversized. And they're oversized so that the heads can be turned slightly. That's one of those things I wanted to look out for. And let me see if I can do this from this side without driving the cameraman crazy. I believe I can. So we'll get all 5 of these in place. And again, they're not by any stretch of the imagination tight. So there's 3 of them in there. Let's see if I can reach around and get the rest of them. Maybe, maybe not. Not used to working with a cameraman all the time. But then he'd probably not used to me either. Okay. There it is. There's number 4. And we'll get number 5 in there. Just right up here. Nope, it's on the middle. There we go. Okay, so we know the gaskets are in proper position because the head bolts went in so nicely. Now, one of the things I like to do, and I'm going to have to go over the other side of the bike to do it, is I use this little dog bone wrench. I've always called them a dog bone. I'm not sure what the proper name is. Maybe called a torque adapter. Not sure. At any rate, I'm going to go around the other side of the bike, and the purpose of doing that is so I can take up on these bolts just a little bit with my little dog bone. So we've got the rear cylinder head on. I'm getting excited because it's starting to look like a whole motor again. And I don't care how many times I do this, I always get excited when the motor starts looking like a big, beautiful Harley motor should look. So, there it is. Again, don't want to get them don't want to tighten them, don't even want to snug them. I just want to make sure that they're all going in nicely. All of the threads have been cleaned. So everything is beautiful. Like Ray Stevens would say, everything is beautiful in its own way. All right. So there's all 5 of those. Let me get this one up just a little more. Being careful not to tighten them. Okay, the rear one is on. I want to get the front one on. And the reason for leaving them all loose is something that's really very important and quite often overlooked by a lot of people. I've seen a lot of this in shops over the years where people don't realize that the intake manifold needs to be lined up. Okay. This gasket is not wanting to stay in place. And I'm not sure what to do about it. So I'm going to put a bolt in it and let it just sit there for a moment as I carefully slide this head into place. And there went the gasket. Maybe a little grease on this gasket would hold it in place. So let me get a little grease and see what we can do. Let's see which side is down. This is the down side. Put a little grease on it, and maybe it'll stick. Doesn't want to stick. Never had that problem. That's a new one for me. Well, we'll get some more grease. A little bit of grease out of my old grease gun here. Again, making sure we got the position right. Put a little grease on there, a little grease on there. See if that does it. Nope. That's pretty maddening. Never had this problem. Well, I think you better shut it off.